A state trooper looked at a guy that was being road tested for a commercial driver's license, told another state trooper, "Hey, that guy's brain dead and horrible," then proceeded to hand that guy a CDL license anyway in exchange for a snowblower. The brain dead and horrible man now has a CDL and is able to legally drive out on the highways with an 80,000-pound truck on the very same highways that your family and my family are driving on right now. Federal investigators just swept all 50 states, found that more than 7,500 CDL schools had no business certifying anyone to drive a commercial truck. And when those investigators started showing up at schools, 109 of them decided to close rather than face the FMCSA authorities and let them take a look at their operation and business practices. My name's Jim Campbell, with over 30 years in this industry as a driver, dispatcher, and freight broker. I'm here to tell you, this system has been broken for a very long time, and the feds in Washington just proved I was right all along. The FMCSA's entry-level driver training rules actually went into effect February 7th of 2022. It was sold to the public as a new national standard. What they buried in the fine print is the zero minimum training hour requirement. How could anyone in their right mind believe that a brand new CDL applicant could thoughtfully, intelligently retain 30 plus different classroom topics that a CDL driver needs to know with no minimum training time standard at all, covering topics like DOT regulations, hours of service rules, logbook and ELD computing and maintenance, map reading, trip planning, defensive driving techniques, along with knowing the correct procedures of prevention of a road hazard. Something happens out on the highway, accidents, and then way station inspections. Do you actually believe the average Joe Schmo applicant could study, understand, and retain all of that information in a matter of a day, 2 days, 3 days? There's a lot more to being a licensed CDL professional truck driver than simply being a steering wheel holder. When operating that 80,000-pound missile, and that's what it is, a CDL licensed driver needs to understand what speed and space management means out there on the highway, how to conduct a pre-trip inspection before you even start, what to do about road hazards if they happen to crop up, along the road, the dangers of distracted driving, what to do, what not to do, and of course, safe backing procedures. CDL training also needs to cover other areas that of serious concern: railroad crossings, mountain driving up and down, emergency maneuvers. So I ask you once again, do you actually believe the average Joe Schmo applicant could study, understand, and retain all of that information in a matter of a day, 2 days, 3 days? If a CDL training school gets to decide when an applicant is proficient in both classroom study and road skills, it's their word, their checkbox, no independent verification. It all boils down to this: the same people that are being paid to graduate the students are also the same ones getting to decide and judge when those students are deemed qualified and when. Isn't that kind of like allowing the fox to guard the hen house, so to speak, or allowing the student to grade their own homework? If you watched my video, Truck Drivers Were Lied To All Along, you already know the fake driver shortage narrative was used to justify the same kind of stuff. It was all about lowering the bar, pushing bodies through the system, filling seats. The industry didn't have a shortage of drivers. It had a shortage of companies willing to pay and treat drivers the right way. The truth of the matter is that lowering training standards was cheaper than fixing the real problems. OOIDA President Todd Spencer said it plainly: CDL mills fueled a destructive mix driven by a fake driver shortage narrative, which we all know now. And rather than fix the retention, pay, and working conditions, Some in this industry chose to cut corners and push dangerous, untrained drivers out onto the American highways. Now here's where bad policy becomes outright criminal. In Washington State, a CDL school named Skyline was stuffing cash in gold envelopes, each one marked with the student's date of birth, and was sending that money directly to a CDL examiner named Jason Hodson. Students didn't even have to show up for their CDL test. Hodson recorded them as passed anyway. Between April of 2023 and September of 2024, 877 exams were recorded. 822 of them came from Skyline. When those students were retested, 80% of them failed. That's right, 8 out of every 10 failed when a real examiner tested them. When Washington State shut Skyline down, they simply moved across state lines and set up shop in Oregon. In Massachusetts, not a school this time, state troopers, 4 of them, passing scores handed out in exchange for a new driveway, a snowblower, and free spring water. The code name that the state cops used amongst themselves was the Golden Handshake. And that's nothing new. The original CDL meal scandal was back in Illinois, took place in the late 1990s into the early 2000s. Illinois Governor George Ryan was indicted after a 5-year investigation showed that CDL licenses were being sold under his watch, and then the money went into campaign coffers. In my video about English proficiency, I showed you that the scam never stopped. I walked you through why a driver who cannot read a road sign or communicate in an emergency is not a qualified driver, period. Same broken foundation, different year, different scam, and still nobody fixed it. They just put lipstick on a pig, told the American public it was one sexy pig. September of 2024, Florida Turnpike, a truck driver with a valid California CDL made an illegal U-turn on a divided highway, in traffic and on a turnpike. A minivan hit the side of the trailer, went underneath the belly of the trailer. 3 people died. Any properly trained CDL driver would have known it was illegal to make a U-turn there, but he did. He wasn't properly trained, and the result was 3 needless deaths. He had a CDL. Somebody checked the box, passed him, said he was ready. If you watched 8 Days to a CDL on this channel, this is the real world answer to that question that we posed in that video. A New Jersey trucking school took a driver from permit to license in 8 days, then proudly posted it on their website. And the real scary thing is, every single thing about it was completely legal. This channel has been ahead of the game all along. Hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss what comes next. You know, we covered the English proficiency scam, the fake driver shortage, the DOT English rule fight, and the 8-day CDL loophole before Washington admitted any of it was a problem. We're not stopping now. Here's what they finally did about it. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was at the Mid-America Trucking Show in Louisville just last week. Reporter Rob Carpenter, who covers this industry's safety failures harder than just about anybody out there today, got a few minutes to speak with Duffy. Duffy was pretty direct in saying that the shady schools have to go. Training matters. Washington is no longer looking the other way. Here's what they actually did. By December of 2025, the FMCSA reviewed 16,000 CDL training providers and removed 3,000 of them from the training registry for failing standards and falsifying student data. Then on February 18th of 2026, a 5-day operation took place. More than 300 investigators, all 50 states, 1,426 on-site investigations, more than 550 sham schools received removal notices. 109 of the schools shut down before investigators even got to them. They knew exactly what the investigators would find. They had been operating on the assumption that nobody would ever check. Isn't it intriguing how criminals never think they're going to get caught? For years, they didn't. They got away with it. Now, more than 7,500 CDL schools have been shut down or warned for having equipment that did not match their training programs, and one school removed for safety violations that had previously been training school bus drivers. School bus drivers, for heaven's sakes. Crackdown's real. I believe Duffy. But enforcement sweeps end, administrations change, and a self-certification model that made 7,500 bad actors possible is still there and needs replaced. Share this video. Put it in front of every driver, every fleet manager, every safety director, every parent who puts their kids in a car on an American highway. Because the only thing that changes this, the only thing that ever changes any of this, is when enough people refuse to look away. I'm Jim Campbell. Drive safe out there.